So this past week, I took the week off to do some canning. Hello family, welcome back. If you are new here, welcome. I am Vicky and you're with Grammy in the Kitchen. So the husband was on vacation this week, so I went ahead and took the week off also so I could do some canning. I did some canning, more about that at the end of the video, but right now I need to can some barbecue, pork barbecue. So in the countertop roaster, I have 2 pork roasts. So the big one is 9.03 pounds. The small one is 6.52 pounds. I bought these back in 2023. They've been sitting in my freezer since. The husband needed some barbecue, so I took these out of the freezer about 5 days ago, had them sit in the refrigerator. I got these when they were on sale, regular price. They were $2.69 a pound, and they were on sale for 99 cents a pound. So when I bought these, the big one cost $12.10 with a savings of $2.19. The small one was $8.74 of a savings of $8.80. When I find protein at the store on sale, I buy them, stick them in the freezer for future use. I do need to season these. So in this little ramekin, I got a teaspoon of pepper, teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of onion powder, and a tablespoon of salt. Just want to get everything mixed up. And I like making my spice blend before I touch meat. That way I'm not cross-contaminating, touching the meat to my little spice jars. Alright, so that looks good. We'll give it a good sprinkle. I want to put the fat cap on the bottom. That looks good. Let me wash my hands and grab some water. So I have the wire rack in here to elevate the meat from the bottom of this pan. I'm filling it up with water just till it touches those racks. That looks good. Now I'm going to put this in a countertop roaster base. I'm going to put it on 350. We're going to check on it in about 3 hours. We're not going to do anything except every now and then take a peek and make sure we still have water in here. Perfect. I do want to save my labels. I want to know how many pints I'm able to get out of 2 roasts, 1 big one, 1 small one, so I can compare price of what it costs. I make my own homemade ketchup and turn that ketchup into barbecue sauce. So we use a homemade barbecue sauce when we barbecue that pork to put it in the canner. That's going to be probably tomorrow. But there is one more thing I do want to share with you. So one of our weeks of meals, I'm not sure which one it is, but we were talking about our lunch and we had beans and grilled cheese sandwiches. And I told you the last can or home jarred bean and bacon soup. I had opened it that day and I need to make some more. A lot of y'all were asking questions about that, so I decided I'm going to show that in a video. I have some navy beans that I need to get soaked. So we're going to put 9 cups of beans in this stock pot. I already have 8. Now we're going to add the 9th. I think I need to add some more navy beans to my next Azure order because I only have about 3 cups left in here. But that's okay for right now. So in my 9 cups of dry navy beans, I'm going to cover them with water to about 3 or 4 inches. And I have some apple cider vinegar. This is a raw vinegar I get from Azure Standard. I want to put a good 1/4 cup in here, but I'm going to eyeball it. Give that a little stir. And we'll cover it with plastic wrap, just so things don't fall in here. Put my lid on it just for extra security. So you're probably wondering why I put apple cider vinegar in my beans when I'm soaking them. It helps, how do I want to say this? It helps with the flagellants, I think it's called. It will help break down the beans a little bit so it doesn't cause any discomfort. I don't know how to say this. Family, it helps keep you from farting as much. That's the best way I can put it. So I'm going to leave this on the counter, probably on the island in my way today, for a minimum of 8 hours. Overnight will be perfect. It is only 10 o'clock in the morning. It's going to stay here until tomorrow morning. It is going to be fine. So back to this tomorrow. So the pork is going to be cooking in the roaster for at least 3 hours. I'll check the temperature, keep an eye on that water level. We'll come back to that. This is going to stay here until tomorrow morning. Okay, family, the pork has been in that countertop roaster pretty much all day. It cooked for the 3 hours. I turned it off, left it in there so it can cool off enough for us to handle it. I have the small one in this bowl. Let's go ahead and get it chopped up, ready for tomorrow, and we're ready to get this in jars. So I'm going to try to remove as much of the fat as possible and any of the connective tissues. I'm going to get another bowl. And I'm just giving it a good rough chop. Feel a little warm. Just falling apart, family. I love it. I'm going to go ahead and get all this meat broken up. Still have the second roast in the roaster. I need to take care of that. And when we come back, we're going to get started on the barbecue sauce. So I reserved the liquid. This is the water plus any of the juices from those pork roast. I have it in here so I can separate the fat from the broth. I'm going to scoop off that fat and use the broth if we need to loosen our barbecue sauce. So I'm going to set this aside. This is all of our pork from 2 roast. Now I'm going to make the barbecue sauce. Now normally I would make my own homemade ketchup, and then I would turn that ketchup into barbecue sauce. I will leave in the description below the homemade ketchup that I use and how to turn that ketchup into barbecue sauce. But we have this organic ketchup that we got from Lidl's when they had their 10 for 10 containers for $10. I picked up 10 of these. We still have, I think, 6 left in the pantry. So I am going to sacrifice one of these to make barbecue sauce. So I'm going to use 3 cups of ketchup. Looks like a jar only has 2 cups. That's probably enough. We're going to start there. The recipe I wrote down in my recipe book is actually using 3 big shoulders. But since we're only using 1 big shoulder and a small shoulder, I'm going to half this recipe. So we need, it says a cup of mustard. So I'm going to do a half a cup, which will be half of this jar. And this is a homemade Dijon mustard. A half a cup of brown sugar. I'm going to have to make some brown sugar soon. A half a cup of apple cider vinegar. I'm going to swish it around in the measuring cup that we had the ketchup in. And I'm going to add it to the bottle so we can swish it around and get all that out also. We're going to add 3/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, a half a tablespoon of pepper. We need 1.5 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. This is a half tablespoon measure. I'm going to add 3. There's just a little bit left in here. I'm just going to go ahead and add that. And I brought it back up just in case, but we don't need it. And this is some liquid smoke. I'm going to add 1.5 tablespoons. 3 of these half tablespoon measure. We'll mix that in. I'm going to taste it. Perfect. And now I'm going to add the barbecue sauce to the cooked shredded pork. Let's give that a toss. Now this is technically ready to go. We can actually make a sandwich right now if we want to. We would just have to heat everything up, toast some buns, and then we have barbecue. But I like putting these in jars. That way the husband can have something quick for lunch if we didn't have anything left over. He could take it to work with him for a sandwich, or we can actually turn this into a meal. Perfect. So I'm going to put the barbecue and the pork broth in the refrigerator, and then tomorrow get that heated up. While that's heating up, we're going to get our jars ready. We're going to get our canner ready, and then tomorrow we'll remove the fat from this broth. And if we need this broth to loosen up this barbecue sauce, that's not going to be a problem. Anything else left in here after we loosen the barbecue sauce, I'm gonna go ahead and can that and get that on the pantry shelf. So in the refrigerator it goes. And earlier today I was checking on the beans, and the beans have started swelling up and it was coming out of the water. So I added another half a gallon of water in here. They've swollen up pretty well. They are not done, but they're getting there. And I'm gonna keep this in the refrigerator until we're ready for it tomorrow. And I do need to go in the freezer to get my bacon, to get that ready for the soup tomorrow also. Okay, family, I'll see you in the morning. So I have the desired amount of water in my canner. I have my jars in the oven at 200 degrees. They've all been washed and rinsed, and now I'm heating them up. We have our barbecue that's been in the refrigerator all night. I need to get that on the stove and warm it up. I have my rings and my lids. And now we're going to go ahead and get started in getting these barbecue in the canner. So I have a 921 All-American pressure canner. But this part actually pertains to all pressure canners. You have a valve right here. That's where the weight would go. You want to take a toothpick, make sure that it's open and there's nothing in there. And when you look through it, you should see daylight. I'm going to put that on the canner. Just propped on there, and I'm going to turn the burner on medium to medium low. So it's going to be towards the low, but closer to the medium. So we are hot packing, which means our content has to be hot, our jars have to be hot, and our canner has to be hot. So we have the jars in the oven, we have the canner coming up to temperature. Now we need to get our contents hot. So this is our pork broth that was made when we were cooking our pork yesterday. I put this in the refrigerator so this fat will solidify. And I just want to peel the fat off. And you can actually use this when you're frying something. It's fine. It's almost like lard, but it's not purified. I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to get some of this impurities off of the top, just so we can have some clear, beautiful broth. Now, I thought about heating this barbecue up in the countertop roaster, but I changed my mind. I'm just going to put it in this stock pot. I'm going to add a little bit of this broth just to loosen it up a bit. And I want to heat this up until it's hot, and then we can start canning it. This is not all. I still have some in here, but we're going to have to add to it as we can. We're going to come in here and stir it every now and then to make sure it's heating up evenly. I'm going to put the lid on, and we're going to give that time to heat up while we're waiting for the canner to heat up. Now I have packed my barbecue in quarts and in pints. The husband asked if I could put them in half pints, which are 1 cup measure canning jars, because that's the perfect for 1 to 1.5 sandwiches. Because when he opens up a jar, and if we're not both eating it and it's just him, half of it ends up going to waste because he doesn't finish it. So he asked if I could put them in half pint jars, and I said yes. Now family, I'm going to warn you right now. If you go to the National Home Preservation website, I'll put a link in the description below. They don't have times for pressure canning in half pints. When you're dealing with meat in quarts, it needs to be 90 minutes. In pints, it has to be 75 minutes. But there is no time for half pints. So we're going to can this according to pint size of 75 minutes. Just warning you, but this is how we're going to do it today. I had to go to the store yesterday and pick up some more half-pint jars. So I picked up 3 cases of 12 count of half-pint jars, and I washed, rinsed them, and they're now in the oven waiting for us. I did a dry fit to see how many of those jars I can get in my canner. Quarts, my canner will do 7 quarts. Pints, it'll do 16 pints, double layer. 8 on the bottom, 8 on the top. So I wanted to see how many half pints I could get in there. And I can get 13 at the bottom. So I'm assuming I can get 13 on the top. So that's 26. I'm hoping I can do all of this pork in one canner. Whatever doesn't fit, if it's enough to make another canner, I'll do that. If not, we'll be eating barbecue for a couple days. It's okay. So once this pork gets hot and the canner is hot, I already know the jars are hot. We can go ahead and start packing some barbecue and get in that canner. As for the broth, I am going to can this in pints. Okay, family, we are ready to get started. So I heated this up. It's about 160 to 175 degrees. Our water in our canner is about 170 degrees. And our jars have been in the oven set at 200 degrees. So they're close together. Let's go ahead and get some jars out and start packing. We're going to go to a 1-inch headspace. And this is a debubbler that comes with a kit when you buy a canning accessory kit. And right here has your 1/4 inch measures. The very last one right here is the 1 inch. So if you put it on there, it's just a little bit below this ring that goes all the way around. And that's where we're going to fill it up to. All right, before we finish, I'm going to ask you a question. How many half pints do you think we'll be able to get from this pork? Plus I have a little bit left in here. Leave a comment below and let's see who's the closest. I'm packing it down and I'm also debubbling at the same time. I have a bowl of vinegar and a clean paper towel. I want to wipe the rim. I want to make sure I don't have any barbecue, the pork, the sauce, or any grease, because that will prohibit the lids from sealing. I want to make sure it's nice and clean. And while we're at it, we're doing an inspection on the rim to make sure there's no chips. Brand new canning lids. These are the lids that came with the jar. And the rings. We're going to go fingertip tight. And they're going to go in the canner. So I can get 13 on the bottom. And then I'll put the spacer on top of that, and I'll put 13 more on top, or until we run out of barbecue. And I'm going to continue that process until we get everything in the canner. And I'll bring you right back when we're ready to close up that canner and start processing. So I'm going to call it quits at 12 on the bottom. I'm going to put my divider right on top. Now we're going to go ahead and fill jars to go on the top of that. So I heated up the pork broth. I'm going to go ahead and put that in jars also. I had washed, rinsed, and heated up these 2-pint jars. I do have extra in there in case I need it. Let me go ahead and fill these up. And we're going to go to a 1-inch headspace. I'm going to clean the rim of these jars. A new canning lid and a ring. In the canner. I'm done with the oven. I'm going to turn that off. And I have a 1/2 pint. I think that's all I got left. So I ended up with 2.5 pints of broth. So I have 2, 4, 6, 8 1/2 pints of barbecue on the top, 2 pints, and 1/2 pint of broth also on the top. So I'll put the lid on. Oh, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. We're going to add the vinegar first. Adding vinegar to your canner will keep the deposits of the canner, the hard water, attaching to the jars and causing it to be a milky, cloudy color. Aesthetically, that's the only reason. It's fine, but for aesthetics, I like my jars look clean. So we're going to make sure we have this arrow is lined up with this notch on the base and the lid. We're going to put the wing nuts on. We're not tightening them down yet, we're just attaching the lid to the base. We're going to do a visual inspection all the way around to make sure this gap between the lid and the base is even around. And it looks like this side is higher than this side. So I'm going to loosen the 3 here, tighten the back side 3, take another visual. That looks good. Now we're going to crank down the wing nuts, going opposite from each other. So we're going to tighten those 2, and those 2. I'm going to turn the heat to medium. Let that come up to temperature. So broth cans at a different time than meat. Meat has to be canned 90 minutes for quarts, 75 minutes for pints. We're using 1/2 pints, so we're going to go by the pint time of 75 minutes. Broth is actually 25 minutes for quarts, 20 minutes for pints. I have them all in the same canner, and I'm just going to can them at the same time. So the broth will be canned at 75 minutes, just like the pork. That's okay. You can always can longer, but you should not can less. So we're going to let this heat up. Steam is going to come out of this valve, and we need to let it steam, freight train, crazy steam for 10 minutes, and then we put our weight on it. Once it reaches pressure, from my altitude, that's 11 pounds of pressure, the weight will start jiggling. Once that weight starts jiggling, that's when our timer starts. That's when the 75 minutes, in my case, will start. And we need to let it jiggle no less than 4 times a minute. So it's going to jiggle, 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 rest, jiggle, 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 rest, for a total of 4 times a minute. If it gets less than that, you need to adjust your heat, raise that temperature of the stove up a bit to reach that 4 times a minute. If it's more than 4 times a minute, you just reduce it just a bit. Don't go a whole number, just go a fraction of a number to make sure you're reaching that 4 times a minute. So we got a while to go for steam to start evacuating out of this hole right here. I think it's called a peck, whatever it's called. And then I'll bring you right back once that starts and our 10 minute starts. I'm going to try to see if the camera does justice to this. So we have steam coming out of that peck valve. If you can see, it is steaming up this unused lid, and it is coming out pretty fierce. Now we're going to set the timer for 10 minutes. We're going to let it release steam for 10 minutes before we put our weight on. Now this particular weight has a 5, 10, and 15 pound weight. And that is determined by the opening of each one of these spots. The 15 pound is actually going to be smaller at the very inside part, so it takes more pounds of pressure for this to jiggle. Ow, that's hot. But my altitude, I am on the east coast of the United States, mid-Atlantic. We are at 10 pounds of pressure, or if you have a gauge, you would do 11 pounds of pressure. So once that 10 minutes for that steam is over, we're going to put our weight on at the 10 pound marking, and then we'll let it build up pressure. Once it jiggles, our time begins. So we have 9 minutes left before we're ready to put our weight on. Okay, we're in the last minute. Do not skip this process. Let it run the whole 10 minutes. This is very important to evacuate any air, any of the cold air that's in your canner, in order for the hot air to stay and really pressure can your jars. Do not skip this step. Do not cut it short. Go the whole exact 10 minutes. We have 25 seconds left, and we're going to use the 10 pound weight according to my altitude. Time has ended. Now we're going to add the weight on. And we're going to let it slowly build up pressure. And this gauge is going to reach to 10 or 11, depending on what kind of canner you're using. And then this will start rocking. That's going to take about 30 to 40 minutes. But I will bring you back and let you know once that started and what we're looking for. So as you can tell, our gauge is very close to 10 pounds of pressure. The weight is going to be rocking any minute now. We're going to let it get to that 4 rocks a minute, and that's when our timer starts. Not before, not as soon as that rocks, but once it reaches that 4 rocks a minute. It could be more, that is fine. We do not want it to be less. And when it starts rocking, family, it's going to be loud. I do have microphones on. We're very close to it. It's going to be loud. And once I turn my canner on, once I start my process of filling jars, getting the canner filled, starting the steam and the pressure, I don't leave my kitchen. I don't leave. I don't run errands. I don't go outside and play in the garden. I don't go in the living room and watch television. I literally stay in my kitchen. I am working with an open flame and pressure. I need to be close to my canner just in case something were to happen. And nothing's going to happen, family. I know that. I know nothing's going to happen. But I want to be close to my stove in case I need to adjust that temperature higher or lower to make sure I maintain that 4 rocks a minute. Canning at home with the proper equipment is safe. It is actually safer than some of the food you buy at the grocery store. It's safe, family. When I first started this, I was petrified. And I can tell you, I didn't have a person like me showing me how to do it. I watched other YouTube channels. I got a little bit of gist to it, and I jumped in. You have me. I will hold your hand. We'll do this together. It's okay, family. We got this. It made a noise, but it's not jiggling yet. We're almost at 10 pounds pressure. Any minute now, it's going to start. I still have it on medium heat. I don't have it higher or lower. That's what we're looking for. So it's a continuously rocking. It's not doing the pauses in between. So I'm going to adjust my heat down just a bit. Barely touching that knob to get it down. Now we're at a pause, a rock. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit more because I needed to have 4 rocks, 4 pauses in a minute. All right, so that's a pause. And that's too long of a pause, so I'm going to raise it up a little bit more. Like I said, it could be more than 4 jiggles a minute. It just cannot be less than 4 jiggles a minute. Now it can take about 5 minutes to get your flame adjusted to get that 4 or more jiggles a minute. But don't start your timer until we get there. A jiggle. Seems like to me I'm having a little hard time to get that jiggle pause. It's going to have a continuous jiggle. So I am going to go ahead and set the timer for 75 minutes. And I'll see you in about 74 minutes when we're ready to turn that burner off. We have less than a minute left for our canner for that 75 minutes. Again, this is another step you do not want to skip. Go the whole length of that pressure canning, whether it's pints at 75 minutes, or in our case, half pint 75 minutes, or quarts for 90 minutes. Do not skimp this step. We have 30 seconds left, and then we can turn our burner off. Timer is up. Turn the timer off, and we're going to turn the burner off. Now this is another important step. I hope you can hear me over the jiggling. It's going to take a minute for it to settle down some. We have to let it natural release. We cannot manual release our pressure canner. So we have to wait till the pressure is neutralized down to 0 before we can take that weight off. And then we have to do the 5-minute increments. Once we take the weight off, we'll wait 5 minutes. We'll loosen the screws. Raise the lid, have it resting on the base for 5 minutes. Then we'll take the lid off, wait 5 minutes. Then we can take our jars out. The barbecue is ready. I'm gonna take the weight off. I'm gonna loosen the wing nuts. I have the lid resting on the base. We're gonna wait 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, I took the lid off. I waited another 5 minutes. Now it's time to take these jars out of the canner. So that's a can of homemade pork barbecue. I have a towel over here, and that's where I'm going to place them. That's the broth. Now I need to get the divider out. And I just use a fork, poke it in one of the holes and remove that. Now we can remove the ones from the bottom. I'm just going to put the lid back on here. And we're going to leave it there until we're ready to can these beans. Oh, I can hear the ping. Love that sound. And as for these jars, I am going to leave them right here until tomorrow. Tomorrow, they'll be cool enough for us to take the rings off, check the seals to make sure all the jars have sealed. If they did not seal, we have to use that right away, or we could put it in our refrigerator and use it within 5 days. We cannot recan it. Well, I mean, technically you can recan it, but I'm not going to recan it. So I'm just going to leave it there till tomorrow morning. We'll wash, check those seals, put labels on it.